Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our podcast.
We're back with another look at Young Justice, but this time we're going to Season 2, Invasion.
This season takes place 5 years after the first season, which means lots of changes have happened, like Nightwing being the leader of a new set of heroes, Black Manta and the Light's secret plans for the Earth, and the threat of seemingly peaceful alien invasion.
Yeah, and quite a bit happened in this season. And when we first started watching, we were like, what? Who are these people? What are these people? Then we thought it was another team or like an extra set of people. And then you see at the bottom is Happy Harbor. And 5 years there, and you were like, what?
Right.
How are they going to look now?
And how we got to see this season is we bought it. We bought it on Amazon.
Right.
Because it wasn't available on demand, only season 1, and we just couldn't wait anymore. And so as soon as that disc was available, or that season was available, we jumped on it, got it next day, and we watched it till we were done.
Yeah. Not like binge watch like you did with Voltron and other shows.
Yes.
Yeah, so Nightwing is now the leader of the new set of team, and a lot of the other members are either doing something else, they've quit.
Some have gone to Justice League.
Yeah, and so a lot of changes were made, so like there was like a whole new team.
Of younger people, just like when they started in season 1.
Right.
We had another Robin. They had Tim Drake, and clearly Tim Drake, something had happened to him. It looks like...
Jason Todd.
Jason Todd, forgive me. Jason Todd had been... killed in this version when this took place, and there was like a hologram that was paying a memorial to him. Mm-hmm. So then they had Tim Drake instead. So they had Robin, actually a series of 3 Robins in the Young Justice.
Right.
They still had Calderon.
Yeah.
And they still had the Superboy.
Yeah, that's true.
And Miss Martian.
Yeah, she was still there. Wally and Artemis, they had quit because they were gonna have like a normal life, and you see the original season, you're like, oh, they're bigger, and once again, it proves that just because you bigger doesn't mean they're not gonna like each other, and then that's proof. And season 2 was like every time. Like I said, Calderon was actually working for a Black Manta.
Yes, so we'll talk a little more about that.
Right, and
then some more new ones you had were Blue Beetle, who you really love Blue Beetle.
Right, and they had Blue Beetle,
Impulse.
They had Impulse from the future. They had Beast Boy. Mm-hmm. They had Lagoon Boy, mm-hmm. Batgirl, Wonder Girl, mm-hmm. Wolf, who was on where Superboy was working with the other team, and let's see, there was one more. And then they had. Eventually joined them were the Arsenal later, and then the Runaways.
But they really never accepted Arsenal. Nightwing didn't trust him, mm-hmm. and he was saying that he was wild. He'd go off the cuff. He didn't follow the plans through, and it was unfortunate because at the end of this series, Arsenal was the reason that. Not only the Young Justice members, but also the Runaways, that they were all not killed, because they were all said to be killed, and Arsenal really did save each and every one of them.
Right. And
they wanted him to be part of the team, and he said no. So when he said no, the Runaways said, well, we don't want to be a part of Young Justice either. If you're not going to have him, you're not going to have us, but we're jumping ahead. But yeah, it was just a whole new show. It wasn't the same show. We were so happy to see that the old voice actors, the original voice actors from the first series were in it, and that they had a part of the show. But you also forgot Mal. He was
he ended up being Guardian a little bit later.
Right.
And Bumblebee. Thank you for reminding me. They had quite a few new people, couple new villains, like they had it was hilarious. This character was silent, and then he got a voice. Deathstroke made an appearance, and then for some reason they changed voices. Maybe it got too expensive.
The first voice actor was the wonderful, I love him, Wentworth Miller.
This is awkward. We hate to interrupt such poignant interspecies romance, but we have pressing business with the Martian.
And he was perfect. That acerbic tone to his voice and sarcasm. He was perfect as Deathstroke, and I was so excited. I remember screaming, "That's Wentworth Miller!"
Yeah, nearly choked on my water.
And you like, "Are you sure?" I'm positive. And sure enough, it was him. And then the next time he comes back, I was like, that's not Wentworth Miller.
Yeah,
What happened?
and it was fantastic score. I think maybe Wentworth Miller was way too expensive to get because they have lots of stars on there, but most of the time they're voice acting stars.
Right.
He was a TV star
From Prison Break.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and then they had him do there, and I guess they weren't gonna do that much with the character at first, so he was like a one-time deal. And they couldn't afford him for other lines, so they just went ahead and got someone that was, I guess, be a little similar, and that was already on the crew.
Right. So, yeah, Deathstroke, and then there were a couple other villains.
Oh, yeah, we had a Black Manta, who turned out to be Aqualad's dad.
Right, and he was a pretty evil villain. I mean, he was really dead set on domination. And but you find out it wasn't his plan. He was being led by the light.
Right. And then also Lex Luthor, who had more of a presence in the show, and he was trying to recruit the Runaways. And also a connection to Superboy, which gets revealed even more in this season as well.
Right.
What else do they have? Just like it's a different. Oh, of course we can't forget the Reach. They came to Earth some time ago, and they presented themselves as wanting to be friends with the Earth and be like intergalactic ambassadors and the peace treaty and such. And they didn't know in the back on the sidelines and away from the public, aside from their nice looking state and their juice that they advertised, the Reach for a Reach juice, which they advertised them for like it was a product you could literally buy.
Right.
They were actually taking kids who were runaways, and like in the middle of the night, like kids were never seen again. They would take them and they would experiment on them to see what can they use their powers, if they have powers, the potential of powers, can they use them for their superpower army.
Right.
Which,
Go ahead. Okay.
Which also introduced Black Beetle, who was no joke at all.
Right. So we keep saying the Runaways. So she just explained to you who the Runaways are comprised of. The main ones in this particular series that were working with Blue Beetle were Static Shock, which was awesome. I mean, Rascal was just excited. Oh my gosh. She was like, it's Static Shock, it's Static Shock. And then you had the one who became a really giant Native American.
I think his name was Long Shadow.
Yes, Long Shadow. That's correct.
You had they didn't all have superhero names, but you knew they were Eduardo, who could teleport, and then
you had a Japanese girl who spoke no English. Remember, and they didn't know what her power was for a long time.
Right, and then you finally like, what? So yeah, and those four, when they're trying to break out of cabins because they were tired of doing these tests, and they just wanted, just be free after, all the stuff that happened, and then their mini arc starts with that, and Dream was just trying to get away from Cadmus.
Right, and how they ended up become such a big part of the plot is, was it Jaime disappeared? Or did Long Shadow disappear?
Long Shadow disappeared, and
Jaime Blue Beetle went looking for him.
Right, and it had been like weeks he didn't come home, and you saw his
grandfather.
Yeah, you saw his grandfather, and you saw the state of Long Shadow's household, so you knew like, okay, no wonder he kind of left. But yeah, and then they said more and more kids were going missing,
right?
And it said, but there wasn't a big deal to some people because they were like, off radar, no one was gonna know this, but of course the parents were gonna know, so that's why it became a big importance for them to find them.
So what they did was they had a mission where they allowed some of the Young Justice, the younger members, team members, Nightwing had them allow themselves to be caught so they could infiltrate, and they ended up being caught in the Paws like everyone else.
Right, so it ended up kind of backfiring. Right. And then, but yeah, that team was really interesting, and a lot of people said they should have gotten their own series. Not like a full-fledged series, but maybe like a webisode series or a sideline, something where you see them continue, because obviously stuff happened between that point and the series, and possibly into season 3, and a lot of people said they gotta give them a show, and unfortunately, I guess Marvel beat them to it, because they have a show with almost the exact same thing.
Right. So you had mentioned Black Manta earlier and about how Calderon was his son. So let's talk more about that arc, because that was really a major part of this season.
Right.
And yeah, that was like a nice twist that you didn't expect.
Right. So we didn't know what was happening. You will reveal later what it actually was. The first thing you saw was that he was working with Black Manta, and he seemed to be a villain. And what you're supposed to be doing is infiltrating the light, and that was like the most most deep cover mission ever. And it was to see what was their plan for the Earth, and he had to gain the trust of his own dad and of the light to where he'd be trusted with the information. When they finally got it, then they could put their plan in action, but it took months or even years to find out because so much had happened and nobody else knew except for the original team members. So
not even all of them, remember?
Yeah.
And they were angry when he didn't choose to tell them all. So the only ones who knew were Nightwing and Calderon and Artemis. And then Wally West found out by default, which we won't reveal how, and he was furious that they had included Artemis. And remember, there was this elaborate plan on how she ended up being in it with Calderon and going undercover. And again, this is just so great. It's not something we want to ruin how it all transpired.
Right. And then the third arc involving was Miss Martian, Superboy, and a little bit of Beast Boy, which also started from the first season. Beast Boy became part of the team when what's her name? Queen Bee had killed his mom, and he didn't know until he found the car. And Miss Martian took him in, and that's how he. When they had the blood transfusion, that's how he got the animal powers and the green skin. Yeah, in the first season.
Right.
And then also Miss Martian's powers were very powerful, but she was abusing them.
Stronger than her uncle Martian Manhunter. He said her powers are even stronger than mine.
Right, and she was abusing the power because it said there was a reason why you hadn't seen her use it in a while. She could, read people's minds, gain information, but she gave
mind swipe.
Yeah, she gave an alien a lobotomy looking for information, and you didn't know what it was at first. And the next thing you know, you see the alien drooling and just like a vegetable. And Superboy sees it. He said, "What did you do? You didn't do that again, did you?" And she never answered. And you understood like what happened to the alien. And they became scared of her because it's like you're not supposed to do that.
Right.
That's not the part that she got the information, but she kind of like literally squeezed it out of them, and it became really scary.
It was invasive, right? They said first it's invasive, and it was wrong because she was mentally damaging these aliens. They couldn't be repaired.
Right.
They were just destroyed.
Right. And it happened again later on. Won't reveal how. But even then, after that, she never did it again because she regretted it so much. She was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know. And like, what have you done? And she refused to do that power anymore because of what damage she caused that last time.
Right. So this was just, again, as we mentioned, a really high intense, just really serious season. There were no fun episodes.
Right.
Not one.
Right. They had some funny moments, funny lines, especially with the Reach commercial. Like, it's all hunky-dory. That was funny. But, yes, everyone pretty much got a character arc that intertwined with the main plot or someone else's main arc. Really high stakes. Lots of good action. Very amazing, detailed plot and villains. And you also are left with a cliffhanger that takes 100 years to get resolved now. But it's clear that this show was going to end off with the ultimate DC villain, Darkseid. And he was on his way to Earth. And that's pretty much where it left off. And it's like, wait a minute, you can't end it like that and then end it like that. Like Voltron all over again.
Now, what I really wish had happened prior to this third season, so it would have been the fourth season, is we'd had a season showing what happened during that 5 years break. That's what we really wanted.
We actually did. It was the video game. They had a Young Justice.
Well, no, I mean the series, not the video game, but a series. So go ahead.
They had a Young Justice video game which we bought and can't get past level 1 because it's that dang hard.
Yeah.
It shows the gap between season 1 and season 2, but they kind of show Nightwing as Nightwing already, which is weird. But they kind of show the missions they had and what was the plot during that break. So you were kind of being like an interactive game. You were playing the season pretty much.
But most people weren't going to buy a video game to find out what happened in the 5-year break. There should have been a series that took place after that to show what happened, what you missed, how this person got to this. It just would have been interesting to find out, fill in the blank and find out what happened. Right. But I'm really excited for this third season because we really wanted it for years. Yeah. And the fandom, we really worked hard to get this approved and picked up and done. And if I'm not mistaken, Greg Weisman is back, which is great. And Christopher Jones is just, he became even a more superhero for us because if it hadn't been for him explaining this is what you should do, This is what we need to do. If you really want it, let them know.
Mm-hmm.
And also, as a result of this, they released some additional comic books.
Yes.
And a couple of graphic novels. So it was great for the franchise itself.
Yeah. And so now all we need back from DC is the Green Lantern animated series, because that was canceled along with that. During that period with Young Justice, a lot of shows got canceled. That, Young Justice, Green Lantern, Thundercats reboot, Symbiotic Titan, they just pretty much wiped out all their action shows, which was just disturbing. It's like, what are you going to have on? Then Teen Titans Go came along and it all made sense.
Right.
But it's great to see that this show is coming back, and Netflix seems to be the Saved by the Bell, or the Hail Mary thing,
right,
where shows get canceled on TV and Netflix will come and get it, because they have also done that with a couple other shows that have been canceled on TV.
Well, let's just hope they also bring back some of the merchandising, especially the action figures, which we have some, but I would love more, especially Nightwing. Let's just hope they reboot all of this when they finally get the show out. And I thought the show was supposed to be out last year. So hopefully it will actually be out this year, but we are looking very, very much forward to it. And whatever the extra cost is, we will go ahead and pay so that we can see this.
Right.
I mean, we've just got to see it.
I want to say one thing about merchandise. We only got a few bits of it, and we started to get a little bit more even after the show went off. But you said there's a lot of stuff like shoes, and pajamas, hats, stuff, because Voltron's starting to pick up on that. I would like to have... I'm sorry, this was an awesome idea for Japan. Any show should do this. They would have a little figure and you get a little cake with it, like we saw for Retirement Buddy. I want that for Young Justice.
That would be awesome.
That was a great. I don't care what show it is. That would be a great thing. You get this collectible figure and a treat with it. That's good for any show.
Yes, I would love that. Yes, we'd have to have. I would want all of them if we did.
Yeah,
that.
what flavors you get? Like, what flavor is this? What's this? What's this? What's this one? This one?
And you should be seeing on screen right now. We're showing you the Tiger and Bunny figures with the merchandising, which is just pretty awesome. So, that's it for now. Tomorrow it will be one of my favorite DC animated shows ever, Batman Beyond.
Oh, yes. Definitely can't wait to talk about that. So, I'm Asko Entertainment.
And I'm Mama Entertainment.
Have a toontastic day.
Peace.
It's on you, man, it's on you. Met her in my dreams, she was my queen. A castle in the mountaintops, rivers and streams. Plucking sunlight from the sky in my pocket.